ROBOTAXIs are coming to your city. Well, at least they're coming to some cities. Well, they're coming to like 3 cities. But here's the problem I have with ROBOTAXIs. Other than I detest Elon Musk, I think he's a Nazi, I think he's a fascist, I think he's a techno-feudalist, and I think he's going to eventually bottom out on ketamine at some point before, whatever happens, Tesla stock, and if you've looked, Tesla stock's over $300. His wealth, it went down to 225 and then has been back up 100 points. How? Who the fuck knows? The stock market right now is so ridiculously, unbelievably corrupt in the fact that we don't have the stock corrections that we used to have. I believe because of algorithmic trading, VC capitalists buying up everything. They have so much fucking currency with all these tax breaks and everything that as soon as the stock market goes down, their algorithmic tradings buy up these companies, and then trade and making thousands of trades a minute. And then you also have, of course, all of the pension fund money that comes into the stock market. Anybody that has a pension fund is invested in the stock market. Anyone. I'm with T. Rowe Price. I don't personally invest my money. They invest it for me in my 401k. And that comes out of my check every fucking paycheck, every paycheck. So those are the 3 reasons I believe. And there's some others, but those are the 3 main reasons that I have gleaned that the stock market is never going to quote unquote correct itself when it comes to like Tesla, or it comes to these companies that you think with all the bad publicity, with their sales being down 10, 15, 20%, 17%, depending on where you are. Even in Portland, they're down 17% from last year. This should cost money, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them very much. And now they're coming out, of course, with their robo-taxi idea. There are others, Waypoint, I think is one of them, Waymo, whatever it is. They're doing robo-taxis. And Elon Musk is putting out his robo-taxis. And of course, they're having the typical problems with new technology. They're letting people off in intersections. They're emergency braking. They don't use sensors. They only use they only use cameras. They don't use sensors. And I think when the first child that's going across the street gets ran over and murdered by one of these ridiculous things, then maybe that's when politicians will perhaps take them seriously. But here's my question. Why would any politician in any city, and I'm not talking about your national politicians, your federal politicians, I'm talking about those people. I'm talking about your city council. I'm talking about your ombudsman types. I know they don't have as much power, but I'm talking city councils, your state representatives, your city, all those people. Why would they want to take a taxi that is driverless and introduce it to their city? I'm not talking about the safety issues, which of course there will be those. What about you're taking tax money out of your city? You're taking a robot car that has no driver, and whereas before, if they were Uber or they were Lyft or they were just taxi or they were regular taxi drivers in the city, they are taxpayers. You're going to be taking not hundreds, but thousands of jobs away from people. And why would you do that? In an economic crisis, a crisis of a cost of living crisis, you're going to unemploy, and the cities also will deal with the unemployment cost. You're going to make all these people unemployed. They're going to file for their unemployment insurance. So that's going to cost these cities and states even more money. And then you'll start to see them say, well, maybe we should cut benefits because instead of keeping robot taxis out of the fucking cities, you don't need them. People generally don't want them, and you're taking away tax money. You're bleeding your cities and states dry. For what? Because Elon Musk gave you $100,000 for your campaign, gave you a couple of thousand, gave you 20,000, lobbied you, made you feel good at a dinner. Your cities and states, and people are going to be looking around when robotaxis really get going in 5 years from now, 4 or 5 years when they're regularly used, and every city in America is dealing with a cost of living crisis. Every city in America is seeing less tax revenue. And then they're going to do this with over-the-road truckers, and then when they start to robotize, autonomize everything from forklifts to cherry pickers to warehouse work to anything that a machine, they're already doing it with building cars, a machine can do. Why would politicians in their right fucking minds allow this to not be heavily regulated or actually to ban it in their cities? You know they're not going to increase the corporate tax. And it wouldn't matter if you did because it wouldn't be enough. You're taking literally hundreds of millions of dollars out of your community, your communities. Why would a politician do this? Well, politicians suck. They're all greedy and terrible fucking people. Sure. But this is a logical thing to me. This is the Elon Muskification of America. NASA, this happened to NASA. NASA had 6 successful moon landings. The Saturn V rocket, developed by a Nazi, the Saturn V rocket was reliable. It never had one casualty, and it put 6 people on the moon and brought them home safely, as well as one in lunar orbit, one in the moon's orbit. So, but we can't do that now. SpaceX can't even successfully get a spaceship to travel. I mean, they're not even putting human beings on their spaceships yet because they're terrified that they're going to have a catastrophic failure. Jeff Bezos didn't use SpaceX technology. He used his own rocket technology when they put up those 4 celebrities. But SpaceX has massive government contracts. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars to just blow rockets up over the Indian Sea. And this is Tesla, these EV. Joe Biden gave him a tremendous boost in his business by having that credit so people would buy electric vehicles. Trump, of course, got rid of it because Trump is in the pocket of big oil. We have to remember Trump's first Secretary of State was Rex Tillerson, who was the former CEO of Exxon. And he was trying to broker a deal with Russia to get all that sweet crude oil out of the north of Russia. And succeeded in some areas. But this is the Elon Muskification, right? This is, we need to have, this is techno-feudalism, right? Let's just rent. Because feudalism was you just rent, you didn't own. And this robotaxi thing is going to economically destroy cities. The only person I've ever heard who was honest about this was Andrew Yang, right? When he was he ran for president, and then he ran for mayor of New York and got thwarted, got destroyed. But he's the universal basic income. You're going to force. So what is that going to do to the economy? What's that going to do to countries? And what is it going to do to cities? The unemployment insurance alone is going to just be teeth rattling. And these are jobs that people with little education, people that are from other countries, immigrants, etc., are coming in here to do. And anybody can do. And now and Lyft and Uber will be following right behind. There won't be any Lyft drivers or Uber drivers anymore. They'll just be automized vehicles, self-driving vehicles driving around the cities and the states and the country. And then they'll run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And they won't ask for a union. They won't ask for raises. They won't ask for time off. And who's going to end up paying for all of this with their tax money? Of course, it'll be you and I, the working class and the middle class. And this will continue to drain money out of the middle class because that's what you do when you give tax cuts to rich people and rich people accumulate wealth faster than everybody else. You drain the middle class. You really drain the working classes and the poor so they never can get out of poverty. And now you're taking one of the jobs that poor people that come from the working classes could do with no education and actually get themselves perhaps to buy a home, perhaps to support their family, etc. And now you're taking those tax dollars out of the community, and you're making people forced into collecting unemployment. This is the recipe for horrible, horrible economic disaster. And I just hope these cities and states start to fucking think that, hey, you know what? Not all technology needs to be used. There's a lot of technologies that we don't use because they're either dangerous or they're unnecessary or they cost too much. Maybe the cities and states should start putting laws and regulations on, hey, if we have, how many robotaxis you can have at any one time? 5. Your company can disperse 5 robotaxis out. You limit, because you can do all of those things. You can create those laws. You can create regulations, state and city regulations for these vehicles. The federal government can get involved all they want, but right now the federal government isn't going to get involved in having more electronic vehicles on the ground. That's exactly the opposite of what Trump's done. That's why Elon Musk is pissed. Or one of the reasons Elon Musk is upset. It's not the Epstein files. It's the EV. It's the money that was coming in from the Biden administration for people to buy EVs. Those tax incentives don't exist anymore. So, I just cannot believe that these people, these politicians they don't see that this is going to cost their cities and states, and it's going to cost them elections. Do you think people are going to accept this? Massive layoffs all over the country, and people are going to accept that that's a thing that's going to happen? Of course not, because they're already dealing with a cost of living crisis. Their backs are already to the wall. Repossessions of vehicles are at the highest levels they've been since 2009. We're still in the Great Recession of 2009. It never stops. And we've been in the Great Inflation. This is looking like stagflation. This looks like the 70s. And this is going to economically destroy the country, but it's going to destroy the working class and the middle class while the rich people just keep getting fucking richer. While they just keep owning more shit, while they buy up all the property, while they buy up all the houses, while they buy up all the apartment complexes, while they buy up all the private land, while they buy up all the water sources, while they buy up all of the agencies that are supposed to regulate them, the EPA, the Health and Human Services, the Department of Transportation, all of these inspector generals. Because that's what Elon Musk did. He got rid of anybody that was investigating his companies, and now he's skating around on ketamine and his stock price he's never going to go broke. So I'm disappointed at many of these podcasters online who are constantly telling you for your clickbait, because everyone hates Elon Musk, that Elon Musk, it's over. ROBOTAXIS will kill Elon. No, nothing's going to kill Elon Musk. He can lie. He can obfuscate. He can do anything he wants because he is part of the PayPal mafia. These are some of the richest men in the world, and they're all buddies. And all of them are venture capitalists. And all of them have more money than they know what to fucking do with. So they're just investing in Tesla, throwing good money over bad because they don't really care. It's not great. They're never going to let their buddy fail. And algorithmic trading is killing us. It's making so stock market corrections are not going to happen like they used to. Go down 1,000 points one day, come back up. Now you're not gaining all your money back on that, and the stock market is going down, but it's not a dramatic, a Black Friday kind of event or a Black Tuesday. Or, until the bond market collapses. And I don't think that the bond market's going to collapse because these techno-feudalists, they all want this. Peter Thiel wants this. Peter Thiel knows if the economy stays the way it is, relatively with these certain companies that he wants to keep, powerful, then it will. He has enough money to do that. So those are my reasons why I think the ROBOTAXI are terrible. You're just taking tax money out of cities and states that desperately need it. You're going to increase the unemployment benefits that the states are going to have to deal with. And we're heading to this sort of techno-feudalism. And that's what automatic driving cars are. Thank you for listening.